Spend enough time in Pattaya and you start noticing something strange. The city doesn't affect all men the same way. Some arrive, enjoy themselves, and leave with some wild stories, but otherwise unchanged. But others begin organizing their entire lives around coming back. And some never really leave at all. Not psychologically, not emotionally, sometimes not physically either. In this video, we will talk about how, over time, Pattaya quietly creates three types of men: the tourist, the resident, and the ghost. And the dangerous part is, this is most men don't realize which one they're becoming until years have already passed. This video isn't judgment, it's observation. Because Pattaya doesn't transform men randomly, it follows patterns. And once you understand the patterns, you can begin to the inner work required to enjoy the city without the dangers. First, we need to discuss why Pattaya changes men at all. We need to understand that Pattaya is not just a city, it's an environment engineered around psychological reward. Validation arrives instantly, attention feels effortless, social friction disappears. Back home, most men earn emotional rewards slowly. Respect takes years. Dating requires rejection tolerance. Status builds unevenly or not at all. But here, you step off a plane, and suddenly you're noticed, you're welcomed, you're wanted, and the brain registers something powerful. Relief, not pleasure. Relief. Relief from all the invisible pressures of home and the crippling loneliness most men experience. It is that relief more than anything that reshapes men. And depending on how a man integrates that experience, he begins moving toward one of three outcomes. The first type of man Pattaya creates is the tourist. This man experiences Pattaya intensely. He enjoys the nightlife. He connects with people. He feels confidence return. For many men, it's the first time in years they feel socially alive. They laugh more, talk more easily, stand differently. But here's the difference. The tourist understands something important. He recognizes Pattaya as an environment, not an identity. He sees the experience clearly. Yes, attention feels good. Yes, relationships feel easier. Yes, life feels lighter. But he asks a critical question. Why does this feel different from home? And instead of escaping reality, he extracts lessons from it. He improves himself back home. Maybe he gets healthier, socializes more, changes careers, or approaches relationships differently. Pattaya becomes a catalyst, not a replacement. He may return once a year. He may revisit for nostalgia. But emotionally, his life exists elsewhere. Pattaya is a chapter, not the whole book. The tourist leaves with memories, not dependence. Most men do not remain tourists. They become something else. The second type Pattaya creates is the resident. This is the most common type. And this category splits into two paths. Resident type A, the remote resident. This man still lives in his home country, but psychologically, he is already relocated. His calendar revolves around return trips. He counts months, then weeks, then days before his return. Savings become travel funds. Evenings are spent watching Pattaya, walk-through videos. Messaging never stops. Line notifications replace local relationships. Home becomes maintenance mode. Work exists to fund escape. And he tells himself, I just enjoy vacations. But something subtle has shifted. Normal life feels muted. Dating back home feels exhausting. Attention feels scarce again. So Pattaya becomes emotional oxygen. Here's the key realization. His body lives at home, but his mental energy lives in Thailand. This is where many men remain for years, sometimes decades. Resident type B, the physical resident. Eventually, some men do make the move. They relocate to Thailand. And often, the reasons are perfectly rational. Lower cost of living, better weather, freedom, community, lifestyle, and many genuinely build happy lives. But psychologically, another process is happening. The source of emotional regulation is now permanent. Validation becomes daily. Friction disappears almost entirely. Life feels calm, predictable, comfortable, and comfort feels good. But comfort can quietly reduce growth pressure. The urgency to build, compete, or expand begins fading. Not always, but often. Because the environment now supplies what effort once produced. He didn't move only for Thailand. He moved for how Thailand makes him feel. And for many men, that trade feels worth it. Most men arrive as tourists. Many become residents. But almost nobody plans to become what comes next. The final type Pattaya creates is the ghost. And this transformation rarely feels dramatic. It happens slowly, quietly, comfortably. Ghost type A, the commuter ghost. This man never fully relocates, but he never exits the loop either. Years pass. The pattern repeats. Work intensely. Return to Pattaya. Feel alive again. Go home. Feel diminished. Repeat. Relationships outside Thailand fail repeatedly. Nothing compares to the feeling of being in Thailand. Normal life feels flat by comparison. He isn't chasing excitement anymore. He's restoring equilibrium. Pattaya becomes emotional maintenance. He simply survives between visits. His everyday life becomes a kind of purgatory between the aliveness of his Pattaya trips. Ghost type B, the settled ghost. Some ghosts live permanently in Thailand. Life becomes stable. A routine forms. Same streets, same bars, same conversations, same familiar faces. And there's peace there, an escape from loneliness. Maybe even some version of happiness. But something else happens. The world slowly shrinks. Ambition softens. Future planning fades. Days become comfortable repetitions. He isn't unhappy, but forward motion slows. Peace replaces purpose. And because nothing feels urgently wrong, nothing changes. This man is waiting to die. We've all seen the settled ghost in Pattaya. He is the man alone, drinking a beer at 9 o'clock in the morning. His eyes are empty and his clothes look dirty. Every man feels pity when they see the ghost because they know instinctively that something horribly wrong has gone on in that man's life. So why does this happen? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Pattaya doesn't trap men, it reveals unmet needs. Most men arriving were already missing something. Validation, admiration, touch, freedom, identity. Pattaya simply compresses those rewards into immediate access. The brain learns quickly. This is where relief lives. And humans always return to relief. Every time. The difference between the tourist, resident, and ghost is not intelligence. It isn't money. It's certainly not morality. It is integration. The tourist integrates the lessons into life. The resident relocates toward the feeling. The ghost replaces life with the feeling. Same city. Totally different psychological response. So the real question isn't whether Pattaya changes men. It does. Anyone who has experienced the city will tell you that once you visit once, change is almost inevitable. The question is, did you choose who you became? Or did comfort decide for you? Because environments always shape identity, and Pattaya is one of the most psychologically efficient environments ever created for men. None of these types of men are fools. They're not villains either. They are simply men responding to an environment that gives something modern life often withholds. Attention, ease, connection, relief. The danger begins only when one place becomes the only place you feel alive. Because then leaving feels like death of self, not travel. And the longer that feeling lasts, the harder it becomes to remember who you were before you arrived. So here's the question. Which one are you becoming? The tourist? The resident? or the ghost? Comment below. I'm genuinely curious where people see themselves. I know for a long time I was the resident. I still might be, but I like to think I'm becoming more of a tourist with each day. And in the next video, we're going to break down why smart men act irrationally in places like Pattaya. Should be a good one. Subscribe if you want clarity instead of fantasy. And don't forget to like the video. Until next time, stay sharp.